Today from Italy, it's beef braciole. This thinly sliced meat is stuffed, rolled, and cooked in a tomato sauce. It's very versatile. It's very easy to make. It's very delicious and can be on your table in 40 minutes or less. So let's get started. As I mentioned in the opening, braciole or braciole is very versatile and very easy to make. You can use a variety of cuts of meat as well as varying the stuffing to whatever you have on hand or whatever you like. And today with this beef braciole, we're going to keep it relatively simple and we're going to start with making a tomato sauce. I always like to make my own sauce because I control the flavoring, but feel free to use a jarred sauce or a canned sauce of your choice if you like. I would just get it in the pan and cooking to take off some of that raw flavor before you start the dish. As I said, we're going to keep it relatively simple here. So we're going to start out with chopping a little bit of garlic. And once you've got that chopped to your desired thickness, you can set it aside and we're going to cut some green onions. Of course, all of this is optional depending on how you like to make your own sauce. I'm just adding the green onion for a little bit of freshness. You ever have one of those days where nothing really goes right, but it doesn't really go wrong? Today seems to be one of those days for me. As you can see, my cutting board sliding all over the place. But once you get the garlic and onions cut to your desired consistency, you can add them to a pan with hot oil. Allow them to cook for 30-40 seconds. This is going to be a longer cooking sauce because I'm going to be braising the meat in it. And I don't know how acidic the tomatoes are going to be. So I'm adding some brown sugar. The molasses in the brown sugar not only gives the dish a little extra sweetness, but it also a really deep flavor. And of course the tomatoes if you like. I just chose the tomato sauce today, but very often I use crushed tomatoes. Just stir that together, let that cook for a minute or two, and you can add some dry Italian seasoning. Again, because of the long cooking process, I can add the dry seasoning rather than fresh seasoning at this early stage. So for the stuffing for our braciole, I chose to keep it really simple. All braciole will start out with breadcrumbs as a base, and then you can go from there and get creative. But for today, we're going to use breadcrumbs, garlic, parsley, and olive oil. And then we'll add 2 different cheeses when we actually stuff it. With all your ingredients combined, just mix it together and you can set it aside to work on the meat. Again, speaking about versatility, you can use many different kinds of meat: pork, turkey, chicken, ham, lamb. But for today, we chose beef. In the end, you would like something with marbling. You don't want a really super lean cut because you don't want it to dry out. I have small pieces of very thinly cut beef. Individually, they were actually too small, so I pounded them together to make larger pieces. When it comes to braciole, you can make a very large piece or several large pieces that you'll cut up for individual servings, or you can make smaller ones known as involtini. The involtini literally just means small package. Today we've chosen to make more of the involtini variety, as in individual servings. So once you have pounded your meat out as thin as you would like it, you can cut several pieces of string and lay your meat on top of the string, or if you choose to, you can just bind your meat together with toothpicks. Take your stuffing mixture and put it on the meat. Don't overfill with your stuffing, and do not take it all the way to the edges so you'll be able to roll it up without it falling out. So besides the filling here, I'm adding mozzarella and provolone cheeses. Now it is important which way you roll up the meat. As you can see here, I'm rolling it up with the grain, and that way as you cut it later to eat it, you'll be eating it across the grain, which just makes it a more tender bite. So roll up the meat as tight as you can get it, and then use your string to tie the meat. This simple butcher's knot or surgeon's knot works really well to hold it, so you can do it with one person rather than needing a second person's finger to hold the string. You do want to tie it fairly tight because the meat does shrink during cooking. Once you have your meat all tied up, you can place it in your sauce. So as I said earlier about making mistakes and things going wrong but not really wrong, I'd love to blame this mistake on equipment failure, but it was operator error. The preparation of the meat was done on my countertop. When I moved the cameras to the stove to film the cooking process, I neglected to turn on the camera. So what there is not video footage of is me putting the meat in the sauce, basting the top, covering the sauce, cooking for 15 minutes, turning the meat, basting the meat, cooking for another 15 minutes. And this is what it looks like now. I chose to cook it on the stove top, but you could also cook it in the oven at about 300, 350 degrees. Times will vary depending on the cut of the meat and the thickness of the meat, but you're looking at 45 minutes to hour to 2 hours. You want the meat done and tender, but you don't want it falling apart. So now that you've cooked it, it's time to serve it, eat it, and enjoy it. Thank you for watching. We hope you'll check out these other videos.